leave it on that page, it should open up like yeah, we've only got one that's going to continue, so.
Yeah, how are you, friend?
We're going to look number 9.
Where is that?
That's that damn abandoned.
Watch your language now. Oh, mercy, if we got a baby in the audience. We got a baby in the audience. I hear a baby out there. Leisure Lake Abandoned.
Yeah, have you looked at that?
Mm-hmm.
Leisure.
Mm-hmm.
Play, come on.
Yes, we got all 14.
No, 14. Nothing.
Which ones are
I can't remember. I think this one may be. I think that may be one. I'm not sure. So there's one more. We're going to move number 9 to number 1.
They got it.
It is what it is. So, it is what it is.
Look, I wore my Ole Miss colors. That's awesome.
It is. Oh, wow.
Whenever I think of my wife,
Yeah.
that's how I think.
That looks like fun. Shoot, so I'll tell you what, man. That place is not cheap, is it? Really?
I'm glad the coach didn't.
That's crazy. Really? Hey, the worst I've ever seen. When I was marketing for a company out in Aurora, went with my boss to Europe to visit some places over there, and we were in Monaco. We spent a week in Monaco. We went to dinner down on the harbor at Monaco. Had dinner, and we were walking back up the road to a hotel, and he wanted to stop in this bar. There's a bar. I said, Dennis, I'm not going to show. Come on, you're my wingman. You gotta go. So, we went there. He ordered a whiskey and coke or something. 46.
Do you tailgate? I went one time.
I looked at him and said, "You're buying it." I said, "I'm buying it." I finished that thing. He said, "One more." I said, "I'm out of
Around the
here."
corner from where
He was,
your house is.
said, "You got to stay with me."
She lives on Barnhill.
I said, "There ain't nothing before." I'm out of here. You want to stay, buddy? I wish you the best. He stayed. Oh, yeah. Oh, thank you. We are not doing this.
Because you wanted to go to college then?
It was crazy. I think I'm breakfast. The first morning we were there, walked down to the restaurant, the hotel, and got a cup of coffee.
It's a good
It's a
input.
little bitty pitcher. $25. Really?
There's Mark.
Yeah. That's cool. Yeah.
My son,
Women. Karen, are you ready? Okay, we're going.
it's a beautiful.
If y'all would please stand and join me as we say the Pledge of Allegiance and have an invocation. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Lord, we thank you for today. We thank you for another opportunity to come, Lord, here to represent you and to represent the people of Walton County. Lord, we pray that you just give us, this commission, the wisdom and the foresight to make decisions that are in the best interest of all the citizens in the county itself. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
Okay, we'll go ahead and open the meeting, and before we get started, just a couple little housekeeping. If you haven't already done so, please either silence or turn off your cell phones to keep disturbances to a minimum. And we got a pretty full agenda tonight. We will have a 9 o'clock time certain close if we're not completed. Anything that we don't finish, we'll move to next month's meeting. And with a large crowd and with the number of items we have, if you wish to speak, we want you to speak. We just ask that you keep your comments to 3 minutes or less. If you come up to speak and everything that you have to say has already been said, please keep that in mind. We don't need to hear the same thing 25 times. You can just say you agree with whoever said it before, just to help us move things along and not be here all night long. Everybody had a chance to look through the minutes from last meeting? Mm-hmm. Do we have a motion?
Motion to approve.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Motion carries. Mac?
Yes, sir. Matt Carpenter for the Planning Department. Good evening, Commissioners.
Move number 9 to number 1.
Yes, sir. If we could move number 9 to number 1 and number 8 right behind that one. Number 8 should not take very long. The Commission's time tonight.
Yes, so we're going to go out of order. We're going to have number 9 first, number 8 second, and then go back to
number one.
Okay.
And we do have 2 requests for continuance. If we could go ahead and
Let's do those
dispense
first.
with those first.
Yeah.
Item number 2, Costa Blanca. We have a request to continue to October 13th, the next regularly scheduled Planning Commission meeting at this location at 5 p.m.
Okay, is there a reason for that one, Mac?
We got some additional submittals that we're waiting on there
Okay.
to clarify for the commission.
Commissioners?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion. We have a second. Any questions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
And number 6, Pando SSA, small scale amendment. We have a request from the applicant to continue that one to October 13th, which is the next regular scheduled planning commission in this location at 5 p.m.
Okay, Commissioners?
I'll make a motion we postpone to next month.
Motion to continue in a second.
I'll second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
If we're ready with number 9, this is the Leisure Lake Road abandonment. It's being reviewed by Tim Brown. This is a petition for abandonment application submitted by Walton County Public Works, requesting the abandonment of a portion of Leisure Lake Road right-of-way on .409 acres, the future land use of rural village. It's located at the Leisure Lake Road, east of East Roberts Road and west of Vicky Lane, and does not have an assigned parcel number because this is the portion of the roadway that crosses the dam, the Leisure Lake Dam. We have representatives from Public Works that could further explain this particular application and answer any particular questions.
Okay.
I swear everybody, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah. Anyone who anticipates testifying tonight on any item on the docket, on the agenda, would you please stand and raise your right hand if you're going to speak to the board, and let us swear you in all at one time. Do each of you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give before this board will be the truth? I do. And when you come to the podium, would you please say your name, if it helps us, if you'd spell your last name, and then tell us that you have been sworn. Commissioners, anyone had any ex parte contacts that would prevent you from rendering a fair and impartial decision?
Well, I've got a conflict on number 4.
Okay, if we'll get you the form and then just not participate in that particular one.
Okay.
All right, Mr. Chairman, it's all.
Okay.
Good afternoon. My name is Buddy Wright, W-R-I-G-H-T, Walton County Public Works. This project, or this abandonment request before you, there's quite lengthy history on this road, but back a number of years ago, the county used to maintain the road across the dam. The dam failed. There was some structural damage to the pipes and the risers. So at that point, the Leisure Lake Homeowners Association, because they own the pond, they wanted the county to basically fix the dam. At that point, they were basically denied because there's no benefit to the taxpayers to fix the lake because, it's solely private around the lake. So at that point, they pursued an MSBU through the county, and the Leisure Lake Homeowners Association done the MSBU, and they funded the repair to the dam mound. Now, they permitted that through the Water Management District, and the county signed off on the permit to allow them to do that because that was their wishes. At that time, there was some question on whether the road would ever go back across the dam. So back in 2015, on March 24th, we took that to the Board of County Commissioners for guidance on whether the road would go back across the dam or not. So the board voted unanimously on March 24th, 2015, not to put the road back across the dam. So at that point, there was some talk about what do we do with the portion of property that's right there on top of the dam mound, because the county didn't want to have the responsibility to have any maintenance on top of that dam mound. So what we had discussed as staff and went to the board with direction was, what would you like us to do? And the board, they agreed to allow us to petition abandonment on the portion directly on top of the dam mound. Now, we didn't go further up either hill because, we wanted to make sure each property owner could access their property. So we didn't want to create a hardship. So we're maintaining down both sides of the hill to the dam mound, but there's 297 feet across the top of the dam mound, 60 foot wide, that's platted right of way, and that's what we're asking to be abandoned. So basically that relinquishes the county's, right to have to go in there and do anything to maintain the dam mound. At that point, it relinquishes us of the responsibility.
Just puts it on them.
That's right.
Okay. Anybody have any questions?
I do. What is it made out of? What is the road surface made from?
Across the dam mound there, It's really, when they rebuilt the dam, you know, the road, it was a dirt road to start with. You
It's
know.
closed on either side of
That's
the
right,
dam.
it's been closed for, I think, 5 years or so. But before it blew out, it was just a dirt road, and that's what it is now on both sides of the, you know, outside the dam mound, going up both sides, it's dirt. Now, I think we may have put some milled asphalt on the two sides of the dam coming down, but across the top of the dam right now, it's just dirt and grass on top of the dam mound.
It's been closed on either end for at least 5 years.
That's right.
Well, do the homeowners have to have access to go across that bridge?
No, there's access, ingress and egress out both sides of the dam mound. Is serviced by Leisure Lake Road to the east would take you back to 1087. East Roberts would take you back out to High Note Road.
Mark, doesn't the land go back to the owner adjacent to the property? So the land, actually, when we give right of way back, that piece of land goes back to that adjoining land owner?
Yes, from the way this is going to work is this abandonment, this property would go to the homeowners association because they own on both sides.
That sounds fine to me.
Yeah. Anybody else have any questions of staff? Okay, we have a few people that have signed up to speak. Tom Smith?
I can't hear you.
Do you want to speak? Do you want to address the commission?
Pardon me?
Do you want to address the board?
I would like to have my say about this.
Okay. Come on up.
I suppose I'm probably the oldest one out there in that community, around that area, around that dam. I was there when they opened it up to the road, and when the dam went out, it was supposed to gotten rebuilt with a say-so that the road would be opened. There was a meeting and that was verbal, but it was, some of the county reps was there and everything. It was supposed to be opened back up. Fine. Well, they sent a guy around to the house wanting us to sign papers, and I don't know, the guy that pushed me up here and myself, we own the property on the butt side of the dam. Both of our properties comes up together and reaches out. And, yeah, we own both sides of the property there. And they had a meeting at my house, and we told them that we would not sign any kind of form trying to give up our property for this kind of business right here. And the agreement finally come around that they would build the dam back up and keep it up, you know. And so that we agreed to let them build the dam back up because it was on our property, and he's probably got a lot to say on this too because he's been in there a pretty good while. Mm-hmm. But it's been a fight ever since they got the dam probably 3/4 of the way up.
Yes, sir.
The new dam. And so now they want to keep the dam closed, not open. But where we live at, if anything happens above me or some of the other people, there's quite a few people back on below me. If anything happens, we can't get out. There's only one way out. That is the way out. It was open before for evacuation route, school bus route, and it just a open road. And it was in good shape until the dam started leaking again.
Right.
And so, by all fairness and word of mouth, a man's handshake is supposed to be his word. That dam is supposed to be opened back up to the public. And it's supposed to be open with a road there, a paved road. It didn't say it had to be a 4-lane road, it said a paved road.
Okay,
but that's as far as I can go with it.
all right. Well, thank you. Anybody have any questions for this gentleman?
Who came and talked to you and told you that it was supposed to be, was gonna be a paved road?
What did he say?
When we had discussion with those guys about putting the paved road. Sorry, I'm Roger Phillips. I live on the other side.
He was right there at the meeting. Can he speak up?
Sure.
I'm so hard to hear.
He signed up also, yeah.
That's fine.
Roger, you go ahead and
Go-
talk.
You can go ahead and speak if you want to, and I'll ask a question
I
later.
think, this goes back a ways. You guys know we've been dealing with this for a while. When the dam failed, and the homeowners decided they wanted to put it back, they came to us to get our permission because the entire back slope of the dam, half of it's on my property and the other half is on Mr. Smith's property. Well, in order for them to put it back and for the right-of-way to stay in the center of the dam, it had to come back on our property. So when we discussed this, and I believe it was Harry Riley with the Homeowners Association at the time, I don't know who it is now. But we all agreed that the road would go back and that we signed a paper allowing them to put the slope on our property so that the right-of-way could stay in the center of the dam and the road be put back. Well, ever since we signed that paper, Leisure Lake Homeowners Association has been battling this the whole time. And I will say that I met numerous times with Mr. Enfield and got a runaround each time I talked to him. I had to have this or I had to have that. Even went so far as to have to get a letter from engineer of record, Mr. Dunn, that put the dam, that engineered the dam to go back, saying that it was stable for the road to go back. So we did that. And it's still, they don't want to open the road back. I met with Mr. Wright a couple of times. And at one time, we were told, and I believe, if I'm not mistaken, my attorney has records showing that, yes, it was intended to be paved at one time. And it was dealt with in the county commissioners meetings, I think. It should be in you guys' records. But it was allotted to be paved at one time. And then it got pushed back again.
That road never was paved though, right?
No. But it was supposed to be after the dam was put back.
That was one of the,
Had we known this to begin with, Mr. Smith and I would have never allowed the dam to go back on our property. Does nothing but deflate the value of our property.
If the dam's not there, then there's no lake though, right?
pardon me?
If
We
the,
have a lake on our side.
It's the other
There's
side.
a lake on the other side.
Yeah, Lake June.
And that was actually brought up
Was
with
two
water
separate.
management prior to the dam being put back. That if it wasn't done, I believe it was, who was the, water management guy, I can't remember his name at the time, but in fact, he had told them that if they didn't get it put back like it should be, that water management would do away with it and they would never have a lake over there.
Now, are y'all on the north side or the south side of that?
South side.
South side. Okay.
I mean, they could still have a lake had they not put the toe of the dam on our property, it would have been pushed back all the way onto Leisure Lake's property.
Pardon me. What did you ask on the north and the south?
Just ask which
We
side
live-
of
we live on
which
the
side of the road y'all was on.
Which
I'm
lake?
sorry, we're on the north side.
You're on the north side, right? Yeah. Yeah.
Sorry,
Okay.
Mr. Smith.
All right. Anybody else have any questions for Mr. Phillips?
I got a question for him. If I understand this and follow what you're saying, basically the homeowner association approached y'all about rebuilding the dam.
Yes.
And then by them redoing the dam, they were also gonna pave the dam, not the county. Is that not
The
correct?
paper,
No.
the documentation that we had, the discussion was with the county. Documents were saying that they had to do something with drainage and to pave the thing.
But the homeowner association was spearheading all this, and they approached
much,
y'all about
pretty
redoing the dam.
Well, they approached us about actually putting the toe of the dam on our property so that they could keep the right of way across the center of the dam for the road to go back. And then only after this, if they decided that, the homeowners did, that they didn't want the road back across there.
So y'all are not part of the homeowners association?
No, that's what I'm trying to lead.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah, so-
And, you know, I mean, this thing goes back a ways, and at the time of that MBU loan or whatever it was, Mr. Enfield was actually a part of that appropriation for whatever that was. I mean, there's some of the paperwork we have has his signature on it then. And then he became county commissioner.
Right.
And then I met with him, like I said, 2 or 3 times and never got anywhere with him. It was always,
Let me ask you this, Roger. If the county commission does not abandon that roadway, this property we're talking about tonight, and they're not going to put a road across it, what then happens? What do you think would happen then?
I have no idea, but
Because they've already decided they're not going to put a road across it.
what I will say is that the homeowners association they're not maintaining the dam like agreed per the contract anyways. So,
That's something you'd have to take up with them.
sure.
But I guess my question would be, what would be a solution for you if the county has said they're not going to put a road across there? What would happen? What would you suggest happen?
But what would happen if they did put a road across?
Well, but they've already made the decision not to.
Well, we right back to the no evacuation route. They had a couple of episodes on Highway 90 to where they had to detour the traffic down this road across, down the road across the dam. That was before it went out. They detoured the traffic off of Highway 90 through there, coming out to 1087, past my house and Roger's house.
Now they have to go on the Richardson Road, right?
Well, yeah.
There's
I mean,
no way, there's no
if
way
you-
if something happens up there, or if something happens up there above us and of the numerous people that live down behind us, if something happens between our place there and Highway 1087, there's no way to get out, you know?
There's still
We got a
surveillance.
lot of children. I'd be scared to guess at the number of people that live back in there now, because they've just been building after building. Well, y'all know how it is in Mossy Head right now. There's a lot of,
Okay.
If you took, like, on the east side of the dam, if you blocked off Leisure Lake before 1087, nobody could get out over there. If there's no access across that dam,
they've had to
Nobody
come in
can
there
get
with a
out.
helicopter and get me.
Okay.
Because my health is so bad until I have to go to the ER quite often. And that's for the records to be seen, doctors, whatever. And ambulance is quite often.
Okay. Any commissioners, y'all have any more questions for either one of these gentlemen?
No, but I got a question for our county. Why do they not want to build it?
Well, let's get through these witnesses, then we'll come back to that, okay?
one other thing there, if you don't open the road back, why do we have to abandon that right of way? Why can't we have that for emergency access or anything across there?
I think the county's position, what they said was that they don't want the responsibility of possibly having to maintain that if they own the road on top of it.
Well, I think the homeowners have to maintain it. I mean, that's in their contract.
Yeah.
I mean, we have a copy of that.
We'll ask the staff when they come back up to address that, okay? Thank you. Bobby Settles.
Yeah, Commissioners. I live at the corner of Vicky Lane and Leisure Lake.
You were sworn, right, Mr. Settles?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
And I lived there 22 years. And I've seen times, like Mr. Smith and Roger said, that bad accident in front of the Mossy Head General Store had to be routed across, up High Note Road, across Leisure Lake Road, with heavy 18-wheelers, school buses. And to bring it all back, me and Mr. Smith was out walking around one afternoon after work, and I'd go over and visit him, get him out, walk around, and we was the one that called the county about the dam eroding real bad. I know all the county road people, I know Buddy, and I know that it was unsafe because we had school buses going across it. So they come up and shut it down. Mm-hmm. And this is when this all started. But my biggest concern is how does a little group of homeowners, now they're attempting to close a second right-of-way right there in Mossy Head. They closed one years ago called Magnolia Lane. Mm-hmm. Now the same group that don't have no, they have maybe 2 or 3 residents that pays homeowner fees. The rest of them, no. I know a lot of them. And their little road that goes into their entrance across from my house is Magnolia Lane that got abandoned years ago. They locked their gate every night, and there's quite a few houses in there. No fire department, ambulance, or anybody can get there, and they get by with it. And what we're fed up with is how does this little group of people control what they're trying to do?
Okay.
And like Mr. Smith said, I got a map that goes all the way up Vicky Lane. How many people that lives in there? Me and my wife, when this all started, we had a petition, and we had 250-something residents in that area. We had the Mossy Head Fire Department. We had the EMS. We had the superintendent of the school buses, routing person that routes all the school buses, signed that petition wanting the road back open. Now we got 3 school buses turning around at Leisure Lake Road and Vicky Lane, turning back in Vicky Lane, have to back up, and backing up a school bus with kids unloading is not safe.
All right. Okay. Thank you. Anybody have any questions for this gentleman? Thank you, sir. Ken Howard.
I don't have anything to add. I've covered most everything.
Okay. Did anybody else that didn't sign up wishes to speak on this item? Buddy, will you come back up just a minute? What were you going to ask me, man?
Well, I just wanted to have a better understanding why the
Okay.
county doesn't feel it's safe to
Okay.
go ahead and cover that with asphalt.
Right. Okay, and so I wanted to back up a little bit. I certainly want to answer your question, but to answer Mr. Phillips' question, I want to try to go back and this goes back before my time at Public Works, but from looking at the board minutes, when this thing was originally shut down, at that time there was some discussion of opening the road back up, you know. So at that point, they built the dam, and you know, we waited around to see if the dam was going to stabilize and see if we were comfortable with the way the dam was built. And at that point, the more we discussed it at Public Works, if we invest taxpayers' dollars to build a road back across the dam, then we don't control the whole scenario. They still have to maintain their dam mound, their risers, their pipes, or it puts our investment in danger. So that's the reason, you know, so talking about that, that's when we took it to the board and asked for direction, and you know, that's where we got the direction from the board was not to put the road back across there.
Was their decision on that made, I guess it was made just financially, they don't want to maintain the dam. The county does, right?
Well, it's financially, and again, we're not in total control out
can't
there.
control it. That's
We're so we don't want to have any responsibility to something that we don't have total control in. And the permits are, the Leisure Lake Homeowners Association hold those permits.
Mm-hmm.
So, we want to maintain down to where we've been maintaining the last, however long the road's been closed, 5 or 6 years. We want to continue to maintain down and just cut out that 297 feet across the dam mound that we don't hold all the cards on, because they're responsible for the maintenance of it, but it's on our right of way. So and we're not going to. And after the board revisited it and said no, we're not going to put the road back across there. And then at that point is when the decision was made to abandon the 297 feet across the top.
My concern is, and it was brought up, I think, with Mr. Settles, is there is a safety issue out there, especially when you talk about school buses. So if something were to happen, say on Highway 9 or on 1087 there at Leisure Lake Road, and school buses are running, they have no way out. And that would be the only other way, go back across that lake and over to Roberts Road and out to High Note.
Right.
That's what concerns me. And I can understand the financial piece of it, not having control. How could that be how could control be addressed by the county? Or could it be?
Just so you know, we're in this boat in a number of places where we have roads across dams where another entity has all of the responsibility for the maintenance of the actual dam. And what happened, and it has happened to us, where the homeowner association, for whatever reason, financial or otherwise, a pipe will fail and they just simply refuse to replace it. So we have a road that we can't fix, or a road that we've invested a significant amount of money in that we can't do anything. I don't know if this would happen here, but it's a risk that we're a little bit concerned about. Not a little bit concerned about, we're a lot concerned about it. So, and this is not the only lake that we have this issue on, but it's certainly an issue in this particular lake.
I can understand that, Mr. Davis. It's just, when you have a road that's used, how many years was that road open?
Number of years,
Many years.
A long time. Me and you both, Roger. But, I mean, and when you have a road that's there, and has always been there,
How long has it been closed? I don't know.
it's about 5 years.
5 years.
Yeah.
Why can't the county relinquish control of, or relinquish responsibility of maintaining it, but then since the homeowner association owns it, basically, why aren't they responsible for maintaining it? Why can't they keep it open then with them maintaining it?
We have the county has a right of way. That's what the county's trying to get rid
That's
of.
what we're trying to do.
Yeah, but if we abandon that, then it's their responsibility.
Yeah, but they don't have the responsibility of maintaining the road.
There's no way to.
Yeah, they wouldn't be maintaining any. We were maintaining the roads, just
Right.
the top of the dam.
They've never maintained the road. They don't want to, 'cause it's too
What about
expensive.
who would, if that's so, then the homeowner association actually own the property other than the surface area that y'all maintain? They have possession of it all along. That's what you're telling me?
Outside of the right of way.
Outside of the right of way. So, my question is, the everything is the same as it always been. Y'all just choose not to pave the road in, basically.
Right.
Okay, so nothing really changed other than the homeowner association came in there and redid the dam, built it back up, and y'all saw the specification, which y'all agreed was sufficient. Then we got time to pave the road back over for y'all to maintain the dam like you were originally doing. Y'all denied it.
Well, it was never paved.
It was just a
It
dirt
was just a dirt
It's
road.
still dirt. And there was, and like I said, this dates back several years, so, there was other commissioners dealt with it.
Right.
And then, once the dam mound was stabilized and all, that's when we brought it back to the board for direction.
I understand.
To see what we were instructed to do.
Just- Okay. Anybody else have any questions for staff?
Yeah, I got one more. If prior to, was there ever a time where there wasn't a lake in there and it was just a culvert or something and the creek ran through it?
Not that I know of. I
So it's
don't
always
think
been a
so.
lake?
Yeah. I mean, I'm gonna ask Mr. Phillips, because he probably knows better than I do. Roger, I mean, I know there's always a lake on, I believe, the south side of that roadway, right? Come on, come, if you would come up here.
I mean, you and I lived out there all our lives.
Right.
You know, and when we were kids, we swam in those lakes. The county's always maintained the road across the dam. They never maintained the slopes. That's why the dam had the problem to begin with. Okay? Now, the homeowners association has put the thing back like it should be, and it has been approved by the engineer of record to accept a road across it. Okay? They're under contract to maintain the slopes of the dam. The homeowners association. I have a copy of that. I don't understand why we can't have the road back in the right of way and the homeowners maintain the slopes like they're supposed to.
And they're doing
The dam
that.
stayed there for, I'm over 50 years old and it's been there that long. I know, I mean.
I think the concern from the county's perspective, and I may be speaking out of turn here, but would be that they don't maintain those slopes and something happens. And then the county may have to be responsible for going there and building that dam back.
I don't understand why they would have to be responsible when the homeowners association has a contract.
I understand that, but it's just, I think from a county legal perspective, they have to look at a lot of things differently than me and you probably do.
What about if they don't maintain it, it fails? The county can come back and say, we
Close
don't
the
want-
road.
Yeah, close the road.
Yeah.
Well,
That would be the option.
I think when it failed before, that was an option
That's
that.
what they did.
Water management gave them.
Yeah.
Because in fact, the county, some of the guys I knew with the road department at the time, this was going on and being fixed. The county said, well, okay, we'll just put a culvert in there and your lake will be no more and we'll put the road back across there.
Roger, I got a question. You talking about when the dam fell the last time and y'all had to redo it, did it fail because the homeowner association wasn't maintaining the slopes on the dam and caused
No,
erosion?
it failed because of a repair they had done
The
to the
homeowner
pipe.
association had done.
To the pipe, and I don't know this to be true, but I was told it was done without a permit to do it, and it was a Band-Aid and not a repair that
Okay.
like should have been.
So basically what you told me before, when the culvert was leaking and the road was in good shape because the county were maintaining it, the homeowner association came back in there and made the repair and they didn't do the repair correctly and caused the failure of the dam.
No. Well, I'm assuming that the pipe failed inside the dam is what caused the collapse to begin with, not what the county was doing.
I know, but the homeowner association did the repair on the dam when they realized the pipe was leaking. But prior to that, the county was maintaining the
It
road.
was repaired prior to the failure, years before,
So,
I'm
But
understanding.
who was it repaired by?
I couldn't tell you, that was homeowners association stuff.
That was a long time ago.
Yeah, that was years.
I guess what I'm leading up to is basically, just like they said earlier, if the county maintains the road and y'all don't maintain the outside perimeter of the
Okay.
dam, then you got erosion again. then
I'm
you're right
not a
back
part
to
of the
where it is.
homeowners association, Mr. Anderson. You gotta
Okay.
understand, I'm not a part of the homeowners association. I live on the other side of the road. Mr. Smith and I do. The homeowners association put the dam partially on our property so that it could stay in the middle of the right of way and they could keep their lake.
And I understand that, but you keep implying the homeowner association is gonna maintain the dam. They're supposed to, but there's
Yes.
nobody here speaking for the homeowner association, so we don't know if they will or not.
They have so far, right?
Well, that's kinda questionable. No, I've had to do some of it myself.
Okay. 'Cause that's the problem.
That's part of it. Yeah, I mean, but again, they have contracts saying that they're to maintain the slopes of this thing. And that was part of what we signed, Mr. Smith and I, to allow them to put it back on our property.
Why can't you go back to your attorney that, on your agreement you signed and said, if you're not gonna do this the way we signed this thing up, then remove it, and then they don't have a dam and it's
I
gone?
think we should. That's probably a good idea. Let's move the dam over there on their property, and then the county can put a culvert and maintain the road across there without worry of that.
It seems like you got some leverage there
Right.
since they're on your property and you've allowed them to put part of the dam on there. I mean, the agreement, I assume, probably said something about that, so.
The dam was the problem.
So then if the dam is relocated, then the county has no issue with the right of way going across there,
Right. Okay.
correct?
Well, I'm not sure, Mr.
Well, I mean, because basically, we have no access if Leisure Lake Road gets blocked
Okay.
prior, on the other side of 1087.
All right.
Can I say one more thing?
You got about, good,
The
real quick.
difference in the elevation of the south side of the lake and the north side of the lake that Mr. Tom and Ralph owns is, just guessing off the top of my head, is probably in the neighborhood of 15 to 18 foot difference in elevation.
Big.
That's the reason for
That's
the
why the
dam.
dam's necessary, to
Right.
maintain their lake.
Right,
Okay. Okay.
and that's a big concern.
Okay, thank you very much. Anybody else, somebody else want to speak? Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
There's no dam, it's just a creek.
That's right. But there's one that, were you sworn in, sir?
I was not sworn in.
Sir, do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give before this board will be the truth?
Yes, sir. John Murphy, M-U-R-P-H-Y.
Okay.
I'm president of the Leisure Lake Landowner Association. Just wanted to address one thing that Mr. Phillips spoke about was the agreement he had with us. Our president at that time took the agreement to him to be signed, but it wasn't an agreement with us, and it's an agreement with Northwest Florida Water Management so that they would grant our permit. Our association holds the permits for the dam from the Northwest Florida Water Management, from the EPA, and from the Army Corps of Engineers. And as it was stated, we did have an MSBU unit set up, which the county helped us do, but we pay all administration costs for that, and we spent a lot of our money to rebuild that dam. Right now, we're at $105,000 to rebuild it. We have never, at least since I've been with the board, since it's been 2011, have never really opposed there being a road across there. We wanted the county to accept the maintenance of the dam if they put the roadway across. Because as was stated, the failure of the pipe going through the dam is what caused the problem to start with. And it was also stated you had 18-wheelers and you had sand trucks, everything going across there that contributed to that. So when the county talked about putting a road back across, why we opposed it at all was that we are charged by Northwest Florida Water Management to maintain that dam. We hold the permit. And if you put a roadway back across there, we want you to assume all of that. You hold the permit. You assure us that our dam that we spent all our hard-earned money on is going to be there in the future and that your road's not going to damage it.
Mr. Murphy, can I ask you a question?
Yes, sir.
Was there a road there before?
There was a sand road there before, yes.
Okay.
And there was a sand dam there before.
I understand that. So you think that there should not ever be a road there again?
I do not think that.
Let me ask you this, though. Let me
I
finish.
think
Just
that-
answer my question, okay?
Sure.
Let me ask you this. Is the only reason you don't want that road across is because the homeowners association don't want the expense of maintaining the dam?
No, sir. We understand we have to maintain the slopes of that dam. Maintaining that complete dam right now is our responsibility.
Right.
We build it, we have to maintain
Right.
it. What we're saying, if the county would put a road across there, that they need to assume the maintenance of that dam. Should that dam fail in the future, they need to repair it. They refused to repair it before because it was private property.
Well, the dam still is.
The dam is private property. It belongs to our homeowners association. And you have a roadway easement across the top of it.
Correct.
Right. But at the time that the dam failed, and there was a legal opinion from the county's attorney, I believe C.W. Henry, that it was private property. The county couldn't spend any money to repair it because it would be enriching private property. And
Let me ask you this. What would happen if that dam went away?
if that dam went away, we would have a stream behind our place instead of a lake.
And there could be a road going through there with no problem?
I don't know. I mean, I
You
don't
wouldn't
know
have the dam to
that.
maintain, so you
I
wouldn't have
can't
that
answer
expense.
that.
Okay. Anybody else have any questions for him?
I got one for him. When you paid the engineers and them to rebuild the dam, did they not design that dam structurally to support another road?
They did. That was a requirement for the county to allow us to have it permitted.
So therefore, you knew that the county might put another road back across there.
We absolutely
Under the
knew
same
that.
conditions that were prior to that.
Right.
So you knew when y'all built the dam back that the county would put the road back across and not take responsibility for maintaining the dam, because they did not do it before. So why would they do it now? If you had a dam designed for a road based on the engineering requirements and stuff, you knew the road was gonna be put back across it by the county, but not maintaining the dam by the county, not the maintenance of it.
Okay, we're not concerned about the everyday maintenance of it, the mowing the grass and,
Well, just a moment ago, you said you were, you didn't want any responsibility.
no, we're concerned about the structure of the dam from having traffic across it.
Well, when they designed the dam and you paid the engineers, they took all that into account.
They did, you're
Okay,
right.
so why would you be concerned about that? Did you not bring to their attention that there's gonna be a county road and there'd be traffic on it?
Yes.
So they designed the
The
dam.
county
to
worked with,
accommodate
the
that traffic.
county worked with our engineer
That's
to,
right, and they designed it to accommodate any traffic that needed to travel that dam.
yes,
Okay. Thank you.
okay.
Anybody else? Okay, we'll close the public portion of this hearing. Commissioners, I'll make a comment. I can't make a motion unless I step aside, but I'll tell you how I feel. I don't often do that, do I, Lee?
No, not ever.
There's always been a road there, and I think there should be a road there. And I think the biggest reason for that road is, like Mr. Settle says, if something happens, you can't get across the other side. If a school bus has to get out and they can't get out, you've got a school bus full of kids trapped. And I don't think that's ever a good idea. But if somebody wants to make a motion, they can. If you want me to step aside and make a motion, I can do that too.
I'll make a motion not to approve the abandonment, but I'd also like to ask the commissioners to consider making this, I don't know legally what would have to be done, but to take on possession of that bridge and put the bridge back on.
Okay. Karen, do you have that motion? There's not a bridge, it's just a dam.
It's a dam, okay. Well,
Just maintain the dam.
maintain the dam, that's what I'm
I
saying.
think the motion is to deny the request.
Deny the request.
And ask commissioners to consider taking responsibility.
Right.
Do we have a second?
I'll second that.
Discussion. I agree completely with it, so. I want to make sure that everybody in the audience understands what our role is, because what we do is not, we don't make decisions, we make recommendations. All we can do is recommend to the county commissioners, and they do what they see as fit to do. So no more comments, no more questions. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Next item.
Thank you, Commissioners. The next item is number 8, the Robert O'Brien lot split. It's been reviewed by Vivian Schammel, and she will introduce this case.
Now, Vivian, that last one was supposed to be short and quick. That's why we moved it to the front. Is this in the same way?
Yep, but see, mine should have been first because mine's going to be quicker.
Okay. I hope so.
Okay, this is the major development order application submitted by Marilyn and Robert O'Brien requesting a lot split of the existing parcel of .41 acres is located in Inlet Beach. It has a future land use, Walton County future land use of neighborhood infill. It has a Inlet Beach neighborhood plan designation of workplace. There's an existing home on one portion of the lot. They're just requesting to split the lot in half and use the other portion either for a home, sell it, or workplace. The only reason it's here before you is because the land use category is in neighborhood infill, which requires a major application. Go through the process.
Anybody have questions for staff? Is anybody here from?
The applicants are here if you wish to hear from them.
If you want to speak, yes. It's up to you. Okay. And there's nobody who's signed up to speak. Is there anybody else in the audience who would like to be heard on this item? Seeing none, we'll close the public portion of the hearing. Commissioners?
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
A motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Let's take about, we'll be back in here at 6 o'clock. Take a short break.
Well, at this rate, we might be done by now.
We'll be done by 9. It may not be done, but we'll be done.
We might not be finished, huh?
We're talking about 8 houses in that little area. The same thing, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Hey, Mark, you want to go ahead and fill that?
I'll see.
Do what?
It's just
Along the
a,
8 houses there.
that was just a lot split.
Oh, it's a lot split. There must be houses with little Katrina.
Well, they were just splitting it into two. Are you sure?
Karen, are you ready? Okay.
Yeah, she could just make it more.
We'll go ahead and call the meeting back to order. Mr. Carpenter.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We're back to agenda item number 1, Piper's Place. This project's being reviewed by Rita. It's a major development submitted by Ed Stanford and Core Engineering. They're proposing 6 single-family homes on 1.125 acres with the future land use of neighborhood infill. It's in the Miramar Beach area, and Mr. Stanford is here to present his project.
Is? Okay.
He was here.
All right.
I'm Chris O'Shea here to speak for this project. I work with Ed at Core Engineering. So we have a project on Driftwood Road, and it is a 6-lot subdivision, and we have Walton County's done a great job of reviewing the project, and we're here to have the project approved. And I know there's a few concerns that the community has, but we're ready.
Have y'all worked with the community on this?
No, I work with Core Engineering.
Okay, so y'all haven't been in touch with the people that live out there?
Yes, we have, and we have responded to their concerns for our project. And one of the comments was to construct a fence or replace a fence along the north property line, and we have complied with that. And then there's a couple other concerns, but they're more macro for drainage concerns that are more around the entire area, along Driftwood Road, and then to the north and south and to the east subdivisions.
Okay.
So we'd like to.
Commissioners, y'all have any questions for the applicant?
I just have one. Did y'all plan to put a community pool or anything in?
No, ma'am. No community pool. They're individual lots with a common area for drainage and the east rear property line.
Okay.
What's the maximum density on that tract of land?
I have to look that up. I don't know. It's not off the top of my head, but I do have that here on my.
All right.
Subject to a compatibility analysis, can go up to 8 units per acre.
8?
8.
So you're well below.
Yes.
Okay.
And staff has just advised that the compatibility analysis indicated a maximum density in the neighborhood of 5.4.
Right.
And that's what is being proposed.
Okay. Is this going to create any traffic issues along that road? That's a pretty small road, ain't it?
It is a narrow road. The existing road width, I believe, is 18 feet. There was 3 residents there before, and we're proposing 3 additional. So we have a traffic study as well that's been approved by.
Right, I saw it. Okay. Anybody else have any questions? We have a few people. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you.
We may call you back up.
Okay.
I have a few people who have signed up to speak. Arthur Summer.
Thank you for letting me speak. I'm Arthur Summers, and I live at 147 Driftwood Road. And in April of 2014, my house flooded as the property that we're talking about, those houses over there flooded. with 3 feet of water in those houses. My house had 18 inches of water in it. I'm not sure what infill means, but if it means backfill and they're allowed to raise that property up to where the soil level is even with the road out there, we've just created a nightmare for all of us. And I brought some charts. If you would like to see them, I'll be glad to explain it to you, but I'll try to do it verbally. Blue Surf, which is the condominium complex that's just to the south of that property, the total amount of their runoff runs into that lot. That lot is probably, it's like a great big bowl that holds millions of gallons of water in its open sand. And when we first met with Mr. Sanford, I made the suggestion that we build, I'll have no problem with them building in there if they don't change the elevation of the lots. If they'll build on pilings and put their driveways on pavers, you know, because they're talking about putting their garages right out by the street and then raise their houses up on pilings. Behind that property, there's a place called Costa Vista, which has 24 houses along there. And if you look in that fence, it's a 2-foot square hole that's like that. All the water from Portical comes down and dumps on that lot too. Well, they're talking about putting a large swale across the back of it, supposedly to cover a 100-year rain. I got pictures of a 2.1-inch rain where my house flooded again, and I've been working with Miss Meadows and Mr. Cotton and a lot of our neighbors over there, and I've got a lot of positive feedback from our county engineers, and they're doing an engineering study on how to solve our drainage and traffic problems in there. If you also go and look up above Portical, which are those houses I was talking about, there's a condominium complex on Ellis over there called Trade Winds. With Trade Winds, the majority of their water comes down and into Portical, which naturally flows down through and comes through onto that property also. There's 4 houses in Portical that get flooded on a routine basis. And we've come up with some workable solutions to solve all of our flooding problems. And Mr. Cotton came up with the idea. I said a 2-foot pipe, and he said a 3-foot pipe. But we have a drainage ditch that runs all the way to the bay, just at the end of Driftwood over there. So I brought pictures of this that I've drawn, but the water that's going into that lot, if that lot is allowed to be backfilled, then if you go right across the street from my house, there's a big condominium complex. And they're talking about building a fence back there, which they did. But if that thing's backfilled, then all that water that's coming down out of Portical and from Trade Winds and then Blue Surf, it's going to go down behind that property and then flow in to the apartments and the condominiums that's directly across the street from my house, and they're directly north of this piece of property. You can walk out there on any rainy day and you can walk in water up past your shoe tops because of the drainage. There's another condominium complex up there that's called Costa Vista. They were allowed to build their property so all their water runs down to the middle of their property. Then it comes out underneath this little bridge, and there's a manhole there, and it looked like it's going to the manhole, but it's not. It goes over the manhole, turns left, and comes out in the street. And so we've got some severe drainage problems there, but like I said, Mr. Cotton and Miss Meadows, they've been really good. I've turned in over 300 names on a petition. What we suggested that we do is to take Driftwood and one-way it to the north, with the exception of the one block that's down by 98 where those businesses are. That'll stay bi-directional. You got Bradley and another street that's there, they'll be bi-directional. So the most that we would have to drive is a block and a half. You take on Ellis over there, you one-way it going to the beach. There's a beach service over there that's run by Mr. Myers. And they can go and come to the beach with their beach equipment, come right down through Portical and have a 4/10 of a mile circle so it will not interfere with their business at all. So I've tried to be as informative as I could be and try to work problems out, because I don't believe in complaining. I believe in trying to give you some ideas and solutions to these problems, and I would be glad to meet with you either on an individual basis, and this is my little drawing here, and their property.
You're saying that by changing the directions on the roads, what's that gonna do for the flooding?
Okay, but changing the directions on the road, it solves our problems from this standpoint. Number one, we've got an 18-foot wide piece of asphalt right now. Well, we don't have any property to build sidewalks on or to put our storm drains in.
How wide is that right away? Do you know?
The asphalt itself is 18 feet.
You don't know how wide the right of way is?
No, sir, I don't. I just measured it with a tape measure. And Mr. Cotton's been out there, but if we put a storm drain on the east side, and the reason I say that, because there's gas lines on the west side, and they're doing pre-studies on this, the county is, and coming up with a proposal and all that sort of stuff. You know about that, but if they put the storm drains in and put curb and gutter in, well, you start putting curb and gutter in, you're going to have drop inlets, which will drop the water into the storm drains. The swale that they've got in the back of their property, that could be piped straight out to that storm drain. Now you catch all the water coming from Portical in that swale, bring it out through a 3-foot pipe, all the water from trade winds coming down and come out, and then the water that's coming from Blue Surf can also be directed into that. It'll have to be piped, of course, but we're going to have a 3-foot pipe there anyway. And there's 8 feet of fall from the south end of the road of Driftwood and Ellis. There's 8 feet of fall that will allow the water to run to Highway 98, and then it gets into that ditch out there. It goes to the west about 250 feet or so, and then takes a right and goes underneath Highway 98. And they're going to change 98 to 6 lanes, they say. So we're suspecting that you're not going to be able to turn left out of Driftwood or Ellis, either one, because it's too dangerous to cross 6 lanes of traffic. So you've got, if you go up, you got Hollywood up there that's got a red light. So it would, by making the street one way, we don't have to take anybody's property. We've got room for a sidewalk, because right now we got 51 houses that's 4 and 5 bedrooms apiece under construction on Driftwood alone. We have over 1,000 people a day at this present time walking up and down both roads with no sidewalks. So this would give us a way to solve the drainage problem, but if we allow that lot to be built up, and you build like they're building down below my house on the north side, they got 22 units down there, and they're on concrete slabs, and when you put them concrete slabs down over the top of that sand, that kills the footprint that the rainwater could go down through. So I would like, and Mr. Sanford said that they didn't really have any aversion, and I was a builder myself, so I mean, I can see a garden over there with the houses built on stilts and the walkways going up, and I can see good things.
Okay.
So I would like to suggest that you can't backfill that lot, because that lot catches all the water, and if you do, then the houses that are immediately across the street, which is me, and then there's 4 quadruplexes that's over there, we're going to have all that water on top of us. Okay. And our houses will be flooded again. And then if you go down through the
Well, the flooding is a bigger issue than just this project. I mean, the flooding is an issue that's been there for a long time.
Yes, sir. And if you go down to the north end of the street where Konakai is, and where the Bradley trailer parks and all those, we got old people down there now. That's almost any rain that goes down that road, and if that water's allowed to be dumped out into that road from this property, we've got senior citizens that's walking around in water up over their boot tops right now, just in a normal rain. So,
well, thank you very much, Mr. Summers.
Thank you, sir, for allowing me to speak, sir.
You betcha. Ron Clark.
My name's Ron Clark, and I'm president of Poricall Homeowners Association.
You were sworn in, correct?
Pardon?
You were sworn in?
No.
You solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give before this board will be the truth?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. I'm here mainly because of all the runoff that Porticall, 4 or 5 homes that will be directly behind Piper's Place. If they raise up that, or fill in that land and to raise up for homes and stuff, those 4 homes are gonna be really, really flooded. There's nowhere for the water to run off to. So, we get runoff. Porticall is off of Newman Drive. It's a cul-de-sac, and trade winds all our water, even though they got a retention pond, none of the water goes into the retention pond because the grass is up about that high, won't let it run in, and it runs down onto Newman Drive. And then once it gets across the crown of the road, then all that water runs onto Porticall, which there's about 5 houses in there that would be flooded if the water isn't allowed to flow on. Since we're getting all of the water runoff from someplace else, I don't think it's fair for another development to be allowed to build up to keep our water from running off.
Okay.
And so that's my main concern, is the drainage for Porticall and homeowner association. We have 25 homes, but primarily that development will only affect about 5 homes, and we're really, really concerned about that.
Okay.
As far as the one-way lanes on Ellis and Driftwood, I personally had no feelings about that either way. However, I would like to state that I did poll all the members of Porticall, and Porticall voted to oppose Driftwood.
Well, that's not something that's on our agenda.
Okay.
We don't have no control over that, so.
All right.
Yeah.
Then my main concern is drainage.
Okay.
And I support Driftwood and Ellis people as far as having the drainage, because
Okay.
I know it's an issue.
Okay.
An issue for them. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much. Jim Vaughn?
No, Art pretty well covered everything about the drainage.
Okay. Anybody else wish to speak that didn't sign up? Yes, sir.
I'll make it real brief.
Now, since you didn't sign up, you've only got about 30 seconds, okay?
I can do it in 30 seconds if you don't count the swearing in time.
All right.
Do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give before this board?
I do. My name's Mac McGinnis, and I'm president of Blue Surf Homeowners Association. And prior to the scheduled August 11th meeting, I called Chris and expressed my concerns, or Blue Surf's concern, not mine. And they were threefold, and then I followed that up with a fax to Mr. Stanford about it. And we only had 3 concerns, and drainage being number 1. Blue Surf is an old association. It was permitted in 1983, finished in 1984, according to all the existing codes in. We have a little bit of runoff that does occur from the back of Blue Surf that goes downhill. And as he said, there's a 8-foot fall following Driftwood, and the water just goes that way, and it's not much. We just wanted to make sure that Piper's Place designed their retention area large enough to handle what little bit comes off Blue Surf. Second, we wanted to make sure that adequate parking was provided.
so that there's no street parking on Driftwood, which won't handle it. And third, there is a, I guess, what is it, a vegetation buffer, Chris?
There's a easement there.
Yeah, there's a utility easement across there.
And then a landscape buffer.
And a
adjacent to that.
landscape buffer. And we want to make sure it's a proper landscape buffer or a fence like the one that's proposed on the north boundary between Driftwood and the Piper's Place development. And that's all I got. And I went over 30 seconds, and I apologize.
That's okay, sir. We'll forgive you this time.
Okay,
all right?
thank you.
Thank you. Is there anybody else? Okay, seeing nobody, we'll close the public portion of the hearing. Commissioners?
Sounds to me like they got a drainage problem.
South Walton.
The stormwater is the main issue, and do y'all know where the culverts are on Driftwood right now, existing?
Hang on a second, Mr. Chairman, actually, we're supposed to give the applicant opportunity.
Okay.
to follow. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Thank you all for your comments. Okay, first I'd like to state that we have met all the requirements for our site for a 100-year storm event, both county and Northwest Florida Water Management District. So we should not be, our client should not be required as a property owner to maintain the stormwater for all of the high-density adjacent properties either. I mean, that's my opinion, I guess, but I mean, I don't think we should be able to maintain the stormwater for all of the adjacent properties, right?
So your plans are going to retain all the water that comes on your property?
All of the water that
100-year flood?
From our property, yes. But now, and I also note that the existing contours as shown on our drainage plan are, we're not raising the site that much. I mean, the adjacent property from where our extent of our survey, topographical survey is, we're going to have a 1 foot higher berm at our stormwater pond, and then we drop down to 15, a grade of 15. So we're only dropping 3 feet for our stormwater side. So it's not like we're building a big retaining wall and stopping all of the stormwater from coming, and we're definitely not going to be draining any stormwater on adjacent sites. We're following the existing topographical map of the road, which is gradually from an elevation of 20 to an elevation of 18 along our property. And everything sheet flows from the west side of our property to the rear of the property. I have been out there on a very strong rain event and saw that there was a lot of ponding and blue surf. And actually Blue Surf, Port of Call, and Driftwood Road are all draining towards this existing property now. So, I mean, at this point, you know, our client's property is the one that's really under the most, you know, we're supplying all the drainage for everybody right now, and we're going to maintain all of our stormwater on our site.
I got a question for you. They keep talking about filling in the lot. A lot of times developers just build a pad large enough for the unit itself. Are y'all intending on doing that or filling the whole lot in?
We're going to follow the grading plan. The site contractor will come in and follow this exact grading plan before there's a building permit ever pulled for the site. And the finished floor elevation will be a minimum requirement above the crown of the road of Driftwood.
What's the crown above the road of Driftwood? How much higher is that?
A minimum of 18. Each lot has a minimum elevation, and so it varies from 19 feet to 21 feet. So there will be a gradual slope from south to north.
Okay.
With it.
So basically what you're going to do is you put enough backfill in there for the accommodating the unit of that you're putting in that lot.
That's
you're
correct.
Not filling the whole lot in.
We are filling it in based on our grading plan. So we will fill up a site and have a 4-to-1 slope away from the site, and then all the water will sheet flow to the back.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions for applicant? Anything else you want to address?
I know it's not really on the agenda, but I know that there was concerns about traffic and parking on the site. One of the things is we meet the minimum requirement for parking spaces, and we do have a maximum amount of bedrooms allowed per each lot. I do not know at this time the exact footprint or design of the homes that will be on there, but we do have certain requirements based that are going to be part of the approval of this development order. An additional comment I have is that we are proposing to put a continuous 5-foot sidewalk within the right-of-way from the Blue Surf townhome development to the Sandprints townhome development. So it will be maintained, I would assume, just probably by the property owners. Even I guess maybe it's with the right-of-way with the county, but we will have a 5-foot sidewalk all along that. So as a new development, we will provide pedestrian sidewalks across our portion of the property. So it will bring people off the road.
Okay.
There's an existing, another comment that we had was there's a utility drainage easement, and we're not going to disturb that area at all. And we're going to have a 10-foot landscape buffer from the south portion to the north portion of that utility easement as well. So, and whatever is there is existing, and we will not disturb any of that area within that utility easement.
Okay. Commissioner?
I got one other question for you. Do y'all look at the possibility of using pilings instead of infill?
That has been definitely has been an option. I haven't had a lot of conversations with the developer, and I don't know who is going to design the homes or is going to build the homes. So,
Well, if you're able to maintain your stormwater in your stormwater pond, then you don't need to build on pilings if you've got enough space to do that.
That's correct, and that'll be part of the covenants and restrictions of the homeowners association with the common area. So we do have a common area here. The property line does stop at the stormwater area, and we have access from a gate via the rear of the property, and then also from the utility easement to maintain that.
Okay. Any other questions? Thank you.
Thank you.
And we're going to close the public portion of the hearing. Commissioners?
Sounds to me like they got a problem with some of the surrounding properties, stormwater ponds failing, and it's flowing onto this property. So
What sounds like to me is that this property has been used basically as
As a stormwater right itself.
yeah.
yeah.
I move that we accept it.
I think, you have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? Yes. I think the bigger problem down there is drainage in general, in that whole area, but you can't fault a single developer for that one problem on everybody else's property. But it sounds like this developer is certainly maintaining, or at least has engineered it to maintain their own water. So I agree with it.
Yeah, but if everybody else's water drains unused, then
You're out of line, sir. Anything else, commissioners?
We could suggest, and I think they've already started this, but we could suggest that the engineering department go down there and find out whose stormwater systems are failing and have them bring them back up to specifications.
Yeah, it sounds like they've been working on that considerably, so, I mean, so certainly suggest they continue that work. Okay, we have, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item number 3.
Thank you, Commissioners. We are up to item number 3. This is the Yellow Board Distribution Center. It's also being reviewed by Rita. It's a major development application submitted by Emerald Coast Associates requesting approval to build a distribution building at Highway 98 and Veterans Road. It's in the future land use of village mixed use. Mr. Burgess is here to present his case.
Good evening, Commissioners. My name is Dean Burgess with Emerald Coast Associates. We're the engineer of record and agent to the applicant for the Yellow Board Distribution Center. This is a pretty straightforward development, commercial development. One parcel, if you will, removed from Highway 98. We did go through scenic corridor review, though, because essentially the property is one large parcel. We're just developing the back part of the parcel. We meet Land Development Code and Comprehensive Plan requirements. I'd be happy to answer any questions that the board may have.
You said you're just developing the back half, so there's future plans for something possibly in the front.
Yeah, the front parcel basically is being offered as an out parcel for future development. Yeah, it's been entertained by Waffle House and a number of other companies that may need highway frontage, whereas this is as a distribution center, they don't need highway frontage.
Okay.
We're going to have IHOP and Waffle House, okay?
Excuse me?
We're going to have IHOP and Waffle House.
I'm right there with you.
Commissioners, any other questions for the applicant?
Thank you.
All right. We have nobody who signed up to speak on this item. Is there anybody who would like to speak? Seeing none, we'll close the public hearing. Commissioners?
Motion to approve?
I'll second.
A motion and a second. All in favor say aye. Aye. Motion carries. Next item.
Thank you, Commissioners.
Thank you, Commissioners. Our next item is number 4. This will be Dalton Place Commercial. This project is also reviewed by Rita. This is an application submitted by O'Connell and Associates to construct a 7,076 square foot commercial building and supporting infrastructure on a 1/2 acre lot with the future land use of village mixed use. This project is located directly across from the previous Hampton Inn site, if your memory is still good.
Fond memories.
Mr. O'Connell is here to present his case.
Okay.
Good evening. My name is Neil O'Connell.
Mr. O'Connell, I'm sorry, hang on a second. Mr. Roberts has to announce a conflict on this thing, so he's going to excuse himself.
Yeah, I have to recuse myself. I've had dealings with the developer in the past, and that.
You're not excused for the rest of the meeting, though, right?
I'm going to leave for the rest of the meeting. Thanks, Neil.
It's fine, thank you. Neil O'Connell, O'Connell. I'm the engineer of record for this project with O'Connell and Associates. The Dalton Drive project is located on the south side of 30A on the corner of Dalton Drive and County Road 30A. If you're familiar with where that is, Mac mentioned it was across the street from another project. We're approximately 900 feet to the west of Eastern Lake. Parcel is 0.6 acres and zoned village mixed use. Parcel to the east of the subject parcel is residential preservation. However, the parcels to the north, south, and west are all zoned village mixed use. As there should be some renderings in the packets that we distributed. If not, I can provide some. However, as illustrated in there, the proposed project consists of a light-colored stucco building with towers at each corner and a conditioned area of 6,945 square feet. The height of the smaller towers on the corner. Do we have a rendering of that by any chance? Have y'all got renderings up there?
We do.
Okay. The towers at the corners, the smaller towers are approximately 35 feet tall, and the larger tower located at the corner of 30A and Dalton Drive is approximately 50 feet tall. The building is a single occupancy use proposed as a retail business. With regard to the site design, the proposed work meets all of the setbacks, preservation requirements, and other requirements outlined within the Land Development Code. In an effort to create additional buffer between the proposed building and the existing residential preservation lots to the east, we've included an additional 10-foot setback, which results in a 20-foot landscape buffer between the proposed building and the residential lots to the east. And although a compatibility analysis was not required by code, we secured the services of a local land use attorney, Saxon LeSueur, to complete the study. The resulting report indicated the proposed project was compatible with the surrounding area, and the Walton County planning staff concurred. Due to the narrow width of the lot along 30A and its proximate location to the intersection of Dalton Drive and 30A, we've designed the parking to be located in the rear of the proposed building. and the entrance to the parking shall be located on Dalton Drive. Locating the parking behind a commercial business on the 30A scenic corridor is encouraged and rewarded by the Walton County Land Development Code. Additional technical information supporting the location of the driveway on Dalton Drive can be found in your packet and takes the form of a letter between our office and the Planning Department dated July 21st of this year. As part of the proposed project, we're also proposing to improve the north end and the intersection of Dalton Drive at County Road 30A by grading and paving approximately 200 feet of Dalton Drive, in addition to adding stormwater along that section within the right-of-way.
Is that just to where your entrance is?
That's correct. Adjacent to the paving. As far as Dalton Drive is concerned, based on the information provided to us by Walton County Public Works Department, Dalton Drive is a public road. A private road, with the exception of the county-maintained portion of it. Dalton Drive measures approximately 1,720 feet between Eastern Lake Road and County Road 30A, both of which it intersects. Of the 1,720 feet between 30A and Eastern Lake Road, Walton County currently maintains approximately 1,640 feet, of which equals 95% of the current road. The remaining 5%, or equivalent to around 80 feet of roadway that they don't currently maintain, is directly adjacent to the applicant's property. We're going to pave approximately 200 feet of that, so that of that area that's not currently maintained, we're going to improve.
Dalton Road?
Correct. Currently, the intersection of 30A and Dalton Drive is unimproved. However, it's open to traffic and is widely used. We have written correspondence from the South Walton Fire District, Fire Marshal, as well as Walton County Public Works Traffic Operations Engineer, supporting the improvement of the intersection for matters including public safety as well as roadway interconnectivity. This is in addition to the fact that there's a VMU parcel directly to the south of our parcel, and improving the intersection at 30A and Dalton Drive will enable access to that VMU parcel from 30A rather than routing traffic back through the neighborhood. So all the information I've shared with you this evening is in your packets. In addition to all this, we have taken all engineering drawings, architectural renderings, compatibility analysis, future land use maps, and a number of frequently asked questions, and developed a website on our webpage and submitted that as part of our public notice, as well as put a special sign out there in order to provide all of the same information to the public free of charge, and they can access it using a QR code off of their tablet or their iPhone.
I got a question. I couldn't pull it up because it was blurring when I expanded the site plan. Is there a fence around the parking area?
We're putting a privacy fence between the parcel and the residential preservation to the east.
Next to where the
along the property line, that's correct.
Residences are, I guess.
That's correct.
Okay.
In addition to that 20-foot buffer, they're also going to have a 6-foot privacy fence.
Okay.
Any other questions for the
I
applicant?
actually have, go ahead.
Go ahead.
So let me make sure I got this right. The portion of Dalton Drive which you're improving is currently maintained or is not currently maintained?
A portion of it is currently maintained, and there's another portion of it directly to the end that is not maintained. I believe you have personal experience with that end. Right.
Have you talked to the owners of the road?
It's my understanding from doing some document research on our own that the neighborhood as it currently exists was an unplatted subdivision, and then at some point in the late 70s, all of the roadways, easements were dedicated and recorded to the ownership of all of those lots in and around that neighborhood to provide ingress and egress.
Okay.
Yeah. One question. I'm looking at your landscape plan.
Mm-hmm.
You have a preservation area to the east What's the nature of that? How thick is that? Would it act as a good buffer between this and the properties to the east?
The preservation area is an area that is not going to be affected during construction, so it's going to remain in its natural vegetated state.
And you've got an additional 10-foot buffer, it looks like, or a setback. Any plan? I don't see any landscape plan for that. I mean, there's no planting.
Yeah, all of that area, that section, is all going to remain in its natural vegetated state.
Okay.
Anybody else? Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
We'll open the public portion of the hearing. Melissa Ward? Pass. Okay. Tom Anthony? Mr. Anthony, were you sworn in?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Tom Anthony, Anthony. Live at 100 South Gulf Drive. May I give you this?
Yeah. We're going to mark this as, I assume you object to the project?
Yes.
Objector exhibit number 1, Mr.
Anthony.
I'm sorry, I forgot your name.
Anthony.
Anthony.
No, the other guy.
Oh,
The
the applicant.
Representative. Can you get it? Would you hand him one to see if he has any objections to the commission decision? Thank you. Oh, wait, there are multiple, I'm sorry, I thought they were all the same thing. They're different pictures?
Yes,
Why don't you let me
many.
see them all? I'm sorry. Thank you. Mr. Chairman, I would suggest you accept these pictures and
Accepted.
Thank you.
I'm going to be pretty short because there's others I'd like to give more time for. I do not approve. I think 30A deserves better. When you look at these pictures, it's mentioned white stucco, sounds a lot like Alice Beach. That doesn't look like, just white stucco. That's what's going to happen. And I think 30A deserves better than to look like Panama City Beach. And, the improvements that are going to take place for exiting this to 30A sound fine and good, but, during the summer, it's pretty tricky on that curve. And my opinion is delivery trucks and bigger vehicles and even vehicles coming in to purchase things from this shop it's safer and easier just to go south. And you can either go east or west on Center. If you go west, it's not maintained, so it's about this thick in sand, so it's not a wise move. It's better to go east, left, and come to Gulf, which is paved, and then go north to exit. It's just my opinion, but I think that's what's going to happen, or the traffic will increase there. On Center and Gulf, there's a four-way stop. It's probably one of the least respected four-way stops in South Walton County. I know this because I live right there and I witness it every day. There's not a lot of people. I'm sorry for any of the neighbors that I might be throwing under the bus, but not a lot of people stop going north and south. So this development is going to create more traffic on Center and Gulf, and something bad's going to happen at that intersection. It's my opinion. So I am not for the development, and I think 30A can do better. So thank you.
Thank you. Richard, I can't get the last name.
Okay.
Okay.
Richard Fouquet, I've been sworn in.
Can you spell?
Fouquet. I'm a local architect and a longtime resident of Seagrove Beach. I have a couple of excerpts from the VMU Land Development Code. It states that this category is designed to allow a mixture of uses, including limited lodging, which will assist in creating sustainable villages and commercial uses within walking or bicycling distance for residents' commercial uses. The commercial uses shall be in scale and character with the village concept and have a master plan. Also, VMU shall be interconnected with abutting uses for convenient vehicular and pedestrian bicycle access from surrounding neighborhoods. Urban design amenities, pedestrian facilities, sidewalks, landscaping, public spaces, etc. shall be included. A few of my observations in reference to the plan of this project is it doesn't seem to have any sidewalks on the Dalton Drive side to the west that would potentially connect the existing residential neighborhood and the 30A multi-use path. In addition, of the sidewalk would remove pedestrians from the street and encourage additional connecting sidewalks in the future. Could this be considered, since walkability initiatives are one of the primary goals of the village mixed-use land use category? In addition to the non-existing sidewalks located on Dalton Drive, this project has a 20-foot radius at the parking lot entrance curbs. Large turning radius curbs are a detriment to walkability. They are intended to speed up automobile traffic. They also increase the length of the pedestrian crosswalks, which increase the time the pedestrians are on the way of traffic. Could considerations to the reduction of the radius of these curves be reduced to 5 or 6 feet as opposed to, I think they're 20 feet, which would be 5 or 6 feet, which would be plenty adequate for a residential street. With consideration to the use scale and compatibility of this project, there are no mixed uses, obviously. It's obviously a single-use, typical suburban-like strip mall project with one parking lot. It's very debatable whether it's compatible with the existing area. The building height, the max building height, which is nearly 50 feet for a two-story building, seems a bit excessive in order to be compatible to existing residential neighborhood and single-family homes in the area. The parking lot, the parking is located in the rear, which is a good, nice asset for the 30A corridor, but it lacks information on what it will do to transition or screen from the existing residential neighborhood. And as far as I can see, the project seems to be a weak attempt at the village mixed use, the intention for that category of project for this, the village mixed use category, land development category. So it doesn't seem to meet the intent. So that's all I have to say.
Okay, thank you. Ann Clifford? Okay, that's all we had to sign up. Is there anybody else? Nope, we have one more. Claire Kuhn.
Hello, I'm Claire Kuhn, K-U-H-N. I was sworn in. I live at 65 Dalton Drive. I greatly appreciate the opportunity to speak to you, although I heartily regret having to stand up here and speak.
Would the applicant have any objections?
I don't have any objections.
Which one for each? This would be objectors number 2. Mr. Chairman, I was recommending acceptance.
Accepted.
And I'm going don't need to get those pictures back.
May I proceed?
Yes, ma'am.
I live at 65 Dalton Drive. We do not have a lot of traffic at the end of our drive. We had one neighbor at the top of the street, the north end, that has a landscaping business who has gone in and out of this and created the kind of wallered out area. We ask people when we see them going out that way, workmen and what, not to do that. That's only just happened recently. Before then, we never had cars going in and out of Dalton Drive. So we considered it a dirt road, and it has a county sign on it that says it is a dead end that the county put up. It's a dirt road. We want it to remain a dirt road. Dalton has no drainage improvements. It is a neighborhood street. After Center going south, Dalton narrows down some so that when two cars meet each other, we've got a really narrow, to pass each other. We have very few short-term rental properties. We have 28 homes, and only 2 of those are rental homes. If it is opened up, it will have a detrimental effect on our neighborhood. We are concerned that if this business goes out, well, then what is going to come in after it, and then how will that affect our neighborhood? We have no protection. I'm against opening up Dalton for through traffic. A paved entrance at the north end of Dalton would dramatically increase the traffic flow in our neighborhood. At best, the north end should be limited to pedestrians or bicycles. You can put up a barricade, bollards, or a guardrail that would only allow pedestrians and bicycles to proceed south of Dalton Drive. When we purchased our home, the county dead-end street indicated to us that there would be no through traffic on our street, and that's why we and many other homeowners purchased there. We would ask that you would keep it that way, and I attached several photos so you could see that. It's also located in a very dangerous curve on 30A. The dead end intersects Dalton Drive at Center. In the spirit of mixed village use, it should not mean disrupting neighborhoods, invading homeowners with traffic and with noise. I beseech you to protect our neighborhoods, to protect 30A. Thank you.
Okay, Ms. Kuhn was the last person who signed up to speak.
May I, just very quickly? I just wanted to, in reference to the pictures that I gave you. That
Real quick.
That was taken at 1 o'clock today.
Okay.
That wasn't taken during the summer peak.
Okay.
All
right.
Thank you.
Is there anybody else who wishes to speak on this? Okay, we'll close the public portion of the hearing. Yeah. Would you like to address any of this that was talked about?
Yes, please. My name's Lois Laseur, L-A-S-E-U-R. I am a land use attorney in South Walton, and I am the one that prepared most of the compatibility analysis that you have in front of you. It's very difficult to create perfect compatibility between a mixed-use area and a single-family residential area, because obviously anything other than single-family residential, people are going to object because that's all they want is single-family residential. But this area has been designated for village mixed use or a mixed use category for 20 years. So it's never been anticipated that this was going to be a single-family lot or a single-family development. And this whole area all along 30A and extending back from 30A has been designated village mixed use for a very long time. The space between Gulf Drive and Dalton Drive is basically 2 lots deep. To put an additional curb cut right next to Dalton Drive so that people could enter and exit off of 30A would be extremely dangerous, and it would also violate the land development code, which would require better spacing between 2 entrances. Should not be that close together. It's too dangerous, which is really why, as I put in my compatibility analysis, it's not feasible to enter anywhere other than off of Dalton Drive. The lot behind this one, or south of this one, further along Dalton Drive, is also village mixed use, and it will also at some point develop, undoubtedly, probably in some kind of commercial type development. In village mixed use, small lots are not required to have a mix of uses. And with this proximity to 30A, it's very unlikely that this would develop into anything other than some type of a commercial use. Since this is essentially a single use, it's not a strip mall, it is a single use, it is a high-end beachwear store. Yes,
single tenant, right?
It's a single tenant. The owners of this store also own Snappy Turtle, but it's a completely different type of business. It's not going to be a Snappy Turtle. It's going to be a high-end retail type gifts and beachwear and that sort of thing. In terms of what could go there, obviously a retail store that specializes in clothing is probably the lowest impact that I could think of. Right across 30A from this lot is a bar and restaurant that stays open until 2 o'clock in the morning. There are many very large, some 80,000 square feet commercial developments within a quarter-mile radius of this. This is a very small, relatively low-impact commercial development, and we're providing a 20-foot vegetative buffer and a 6-foot privacy fence to allow that transition between the single-family homes. Whether it will increase traffic or not, yes, it probably will. Any kind of development increases traffic. More homes going into the area increases traffic. Any development that goes on this property is going to increase traffic. The only thing we can do is try to make it increase traffic in a safe way that does not create a higher likelihood of car wrecks on 30A. Since we're only improving the road to the entrance, I would assume, if it was me, that people will go in, park, come back out, and go back out to 30A because they won't necessarily want to drive their car down a dirt road. But there's certainly nothing that we can do to mandate that any more than you can keep people from driving in that area now if they choose to do so. Do you have any questions?
The Dalton Drive is an open road that goes all the way through.
I've driven it. I understand there was some kind of controversy over whether or not it was a dead end, but as far as I understand from Public Works, they consider the road to be open and usable. And I can certainly testify that my little Prius drove down it just fine.
Okay. Matt, you know, is that road what the situation is?
We believe it to be county right-of-way and can be opened at any time, according to Public Works.
Okay.
And I believe that the county engineer is here to address that as well, if you would like to hear from him.
Okay. Commissioners, any questions of the applicant?
I have a
Go
real
ahead.
concern.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, the concerns I have, though, are the compatibility study was done by the developer. I don't think it really is compatible to the south side of 30A, where you have probably about 300 single-family homes located within the area of Eastern Lake. And it concerns me that water shed off of a pavement road would cause problems to the Eastern Lake eventually. And it's just too busy a curve of 30A to see something this magnitude to go in. And I'm not in favor of it at all.
I'm kind of concerned about access to the building itself, coming down Dalton Drive and all the traffic and not being implied earlier, you know, trucks coming in and out bringing product and having some type of bottleneck right there where something would create a lot of problems in the future. I didn't quite understand what she was saying, Mark. Maybe you can enlighten me. Why can't they put parking up front and move the building further back? She said you couldn't do it because the two roads are too close together.
No, you could certainly move the building back, put the parking up front, but what she was saying was the parking lot should not empty onto 30A because they would not want two curb cuts, Dalton Road and that curb cut that close together. That would create a traffic
So
jam.
they could move the building back, put the parking lot up, and access into Dalton Road and not go so deep into Dalton Road, correct?
I assume they could do that, yes.
Without
Yes,
having
they
to have
would-
another cut.
That's correct. Now, I think if they redesign it that way, they're going to have to go back to the DRB, but I'm not sure about that.
Okay, so your question is relative to the location of the entrance off of Dalton Drive?
My question was to Mark, and what it was, is that the parking lot's in the back of the building, and the residents who lives around there and going up and down Dalton Road, and also when you have suppliers bringing product to the building, larger trucks, smaller trucks, vans, whatever, I'm concerned about the traffic flow it's going to have right there. And my question to the developer is, why can't you move the parking lot up front, shorten the distance between Dalton Road and access to 38, and go in right there, and build your retention pond to the back, and that way you decrease the amount of traffic, how far it comes down Dalton Road, in and out for access, in and out for your parking. I don't quite understand why you got the building all the way up front when you can put the parking up there and still have access to Dalton Road.
Well,
I just wanted to say, first of all, the scenic corridor guidelines encourage parking in the rear, and if we moved it up front, it would require additional parking, so more of the lot would have to be cleared, because there's a 20% reduction in the amount of parking if you put it to the rear of the building. That's your incentive for putting your parking in the rear.
Well,
That's actually encouraged by the land development code.
my concern is the people living down Dalton Road and the residents around it, and the amount of traffic going to come up and down that road. And I understand what you're talking about, you have to put more park, you have to clear more land in order for the parking to move the building to the back.
you would reduce the size of the building and increase the amount of parking. So, I mean, the net would be more parking. I don't think it would reduce your traffic per se. It would just have more parking. Now, what's important to consider here is that there is a VMU parcel directly to the south of this one. So, conceivably, that parcel has the potential to be a commercial business as well. So, foregoing any improvements to the intersection between 30A and Dalton Drive, access to that parcel is going to be by way of the neighborhood. So if somehow they develop that into a restaurant or some other use that's allowed in VMU, you're going to be routing all the traffic to that parcel south of the parcel that we're currently working on through the neighborhood, and that would be absent a connection to Dalton Drive and 30A. In addition, there's a VMU parcel directly to the west that if the improvement is not made at 30A and Dalton Drive, then that connection would also be required, for that parcel would also be required to be coming off of 30A. And I think it's good traffic management practices, and I don't mean to speak for the Public Works Department. I didn't know that they were going to be here this evening, and I'd prefer to let them speak for themselves, but in the context of traffic management, civil engineering design, I think we want to try and minimize the number of driveway connections to 30A. I think everybody can agree on that. But in the context of traffic management and connectability, I'd rather give the guys from Public Works an opportunity to speak to that end, if that's all right.
That makes sense. I mean, Commissioners, anything else?
I'm still not in agreement to it because of the area that it is in. South of 30A, there is no commercial building right now that has any kind of retail sale except for the Gourd Garden. And I think this is, I don't know why 20 years ago they decided VMU there, but south of 30A, unless it's in a planned PUD community like Watercolor, Water Sound, Seaside, Rosemary, Alice Beach, I see them having retail. But south of 30A around residents, where there's homes, I'm very against it.
But
Do you agree that it meets the code?
I'm worried about the watershed.
I'm worried about watershed and traffic. I'm worried about a lot
I'm
of
worried
things.
about the watershed, the traffic, the curb, the bike path, and everything.
But I think we have to keep our role in mind too, that
Well,
we're not decision makers. We
no, but I
make a
haven't
recommendation based on it meeting the code or not.
I haven't seen their compatibility report to me.
And the public portion of the meeting's closed, sir. I can't let you speak. I don't disagree with you at all. It's just, if we look at our role, we have a specific role in this process.
Well, can they come back to us next month with more compatibility material to show us where they think a property like this should be developed with a Alvin's Island look south of 38?
Again, yes, they own the Snappy Turtle chain of stores, but that doesn't mean that this particular building or this particular business that they're building is going to be a Snappy Turtle. It's not. They're developing a different type of business. It seems to me that your issues with compatibility, and correct me if I'm wrong, but it comes down to you don't think BMU belongs on that parcel, but it's been BMU for 20 years. And BMU allows, in fact, even encourages commercial development, and the entire area, both north and south of 38, and that entire area has been designated village mixed use for 20 years. And just because development is only now starting south of the road, it's allowed to have commercial use, and it's going to have some type of commercial use. And if it meets the code.
So I think this is a discussion we've had here many times over the last 3 or 4 years that I've been on this board, that 30A is a different area, and there's a lot of things that need to be addressed, and our development code probably is the biggest thing. But as long as the code is what it is, that's what we're here charged to evaluate. So as much as I may agree or disagree with that.
Well, as the Planning Commission, do we make recommendations to the commissioners?
On projects presented to us.
Yes. And don't we give them our concerns?
We
and
certainly
let them
can do
know? Okay. Well, I'm very worried about watershed. Where's that water going to flow off of pavement, asphalt, I presume? It's going to come down on that little dirt road, and it's going to flood the neighbors to the back of it and to the south of it.
The cross-section of roadway that we've included as part of our design is an accepted standard dirt to pave cross-section that's used widely by Walton County Public Works as well as other engineering. So it's an industry standard. And as far as where is the water going to go, we're developing swales on the side of the asphalt which don't currently exist. So as far as runoff, the runoff is intended to be contained in the swales that are designed as part of the improvement. Now, to answer your concerns or to respond to your concerns about the Snappy Turtle, it's not our intention as engineers to worsen development on 30A. I've been down here for a very long time and take a great amount of pride in the opportunity to improve development on 30A. I've seen a lot of things that have been done wrong. I've spent many, many years reviewing plans at regional utilities that I didn't agree with, and I don't intend to do that as the engineer for this project either. We've gone actually beyond what was required for any submittal to the planning department in order to develop architectural renderings to reflect what we intend the building to look like. And we've, in meeting with the planning department, have suggested that they make those renderings a part of a conditional approval as part of the development order. Whether or not that's ever been done in the past or whether this is something that should be done as part of this particular project is entirely up to the Planning Commission and y'all's recommendations. However, we're in favor of it looking better. I don't object personally to the appearance of the building, and I think it could be attractive. As far as getting them to build it that way, I think that's probably the responsibility of another department outside of all of our control, but in the meantime, what we're trying to do here is put forth a good development in good faith, and we're certainly happy to answer any other questions you have as far as the intent or the design.
Do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion, if you don't mind, I'd like to turn this back to them and have more evidence that they feel this is compatible to 300 residences around it.
A motion to deny or a motion to?
Deny.
Okay. We have a motion to deny. Is there a second? There's no seconds. The motion dies for lack of a second. We have another motion.
I'll make an amendment to my motion.
That'll be a new motion. Go ahead.
I got a question. The parking still concerns me, and I understand what they're saying, that they worried about parking in and out of the parking lot on 38. But could we not, the study that they use, and is that a study that they present to us, or that one that is a standard study?
You mean for the parking?
For the access. You were talking about, when we talking about moving the parking lot to the front of the building, she implied that this is a standard process and everything for this area for the traffic flow.
It's actually encouraged.
It's encouraged.
It's encouraged, yeah.
And they said if they moved it to the front, they would have to clear more land and make a bigger parking area. But my question to you, is that a standard, did that feasibility study come from y'all, or that's just a standard practice?
Well, I'm sorry, maybe I was unclear as far as the clearing is going to be the same, okay? The building would get smaller, the parking would increase, but the overall footprint wouldn't change of the impact to the lot. So what's of greater concern is usability of 30A, okay? And in improving Dalton Drive and getting the driveway connection off of 30A, you're removing driveway connections to 30A, and I think anybody, and I know Public Works agrees, I have it in writing, that they would agree that their intent and part of their management plan is to try and minimize connections to 30A. So if we can agree on minimizing driveway connections to 30A, we're talking about a driveway connection on Dalton Drive. And
I got a question for you, but if you move the parking lot to the front, the entry, the cut is the same. You're not increasing the access. You just move the parking lot to the front, move the building to the back. So
yeah, right.
So you're not creating another cut. You just still come on Dalton Drive, but you move the parking to the
Sure.
front.
And so, okay, so your concern is for traffic on Dalton Drive?
My concern about it is just the depth that you come down Dalton Drive with the traffic and the access you got to have for your suppliers to come in and out with trucks. My also concern is the water issue we talked about. And my question is that if you move the parking to the front, she implied that would be an issue with the traffic coming in off of 38. My question to you is, do y'all have a feasibility study backing that up, or do y'all just a study you did on y'all?
Well, in the context of the study, our conference was with Walton County and the Walton County Public Works, and they're traffic engineers. So it's engineers talking with engineers, and their recommendation was to try and get the traffic off of 30A. And in doing so, we want to try and move and separate the driveway connections as much as we possibly can.
I think what happens is the closer that driveway is to 30A, the fewer cars can get in there, and it backs it up.
Yeah, and the other thing, there is a section of the code that references minimum spacing between driveway connections, which is one of the reasons that we couldn't get it off of coming off of 30A, is because it's less than that length, and that creates a safety hazard.
That was my question.
Oh, okay.
How
Well, for traffic flow, to benefit traffic flow, as well as in the context of safety, and as far as the distance currently between the two intersections and how we would measure that, I don't have that for you off the top of my head, but we can provide that, as well as refer to the section of the Land Development Code which defines that minimum allowable distance.
Okay.
Thank you.
That answer your question?
Yeah.
Okay, well, I'm going to step down as chair. David, you're now the chairman for this motion. I'm going to make a motion. I'm going to make a motion that we approve, because I believe that it meets the requirements of the code. But I also will qualify that in that, again, I will say that we need to encourage the county commission to look at this project and how it fits and what their opinions of the traffic are on. They make the political decision on 38, we don't. We make a policy decision. So my motion is that we approve because it meets the code, but encourage the county strongly to to go back, and I know it's being worked on to revisit how these things are, how our code is written and how things are, the village mixed use and whatever. I think we need to speed that process up, because we need to, this whole idea of 30A is a jewel for Walton County. But when you start developing like this, it can harm it. But as a planning commission, we have, our duty is to look at the code and does it meet it. So my motion is to approve with a strong recommendation to the county to speed up the process to rezoning some of these areas.
And okay, I got you now. Thank you.
I'll second that.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Nay.
Opposed? The ayes have it.
Motion carried. Do I get it again?
Yes.
Okay. We're going to take a 10-minute break and we'll come back. Come back here at 25 after.
I don't know what would happen. See, if we start letting things like this south of 38 start being built.
I guess they weren't here for us, were they? All right. Next item, number 5.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This project is Miller's Crossing. It's being reviewed by Bob Baranti, Mater Development, submitted by Jenkins Engineering, requesting approval to construct 72 multifamily units and associated infrastructure on approximately 9 2/3 acres in the future land use of Town Center 1. And this is the first residential development proposed in Town Center 1 since it was created November 7, 1996. Scott Jenkins is here to present the project.
Good evening, I'm Scott Jenkins with Jenkins Engineering. As Max said, this piece of property is actually about 20 acres. It's 19.66 acres. That's actually just north of here on J.D. Miller Road, on the east side of J.D. Miller, about a mile north of US 98. We have a drawing that shows the layout of the property. Just to point out a couple of things. As Max said, it is Town Center 1. This is one of the first developments in Town Center 1 and the first residential development. We've worked on the Boys and Girls Club and a couple other things, but this is kind of hopefully kicking off this corridor with more development in the area. One of the components in the Town Center is multifamily residential, which is allowed here. The property, the land use allows for a base density of 4 units per acre, and you can go up to 10 units per acre with density bonus points. What's being proposed here is just under 4, about 3.8 acres, units per acre on this site. As you can see, we have one center roadway that comes down to a cul-de-sac with the units on either side. We have some rather large wet retention ponds on both sides of the property in the rear that abut some wetland areas. The wetland areas will remain intact. They have a 25-foot buffer off of all the wetlands. The only impact that we have is a finger that jutted out into this area that we're proposing to impact, but the rest of the wetlands all stay exactly as they are. The way that the property lays out, it's really kind of an enclave into itself. You have all of the wetlands that are around these northern and eastern and southern boundaries of the development, so you almost have kind of an island inside. So the development areas are all about 200 feet away from the nearest adjacent property on the north, and about 140 feet away from the nearest adjacent property on the south. So you have a really good buffer from everything that's around you, even though there's not a lot of development there now. As part of the town center, some of the things that are required are a couple of multiple uses. I'll show you. The wet ponds are here and here. We have to do a couple of additional things. We are proposing a jitney stop or a rail stop out here for a transit stop along the roadway. We also have some interconnection requirements between the adjacent properties that are north-south and to the east here. And their plan is to dedicate a 1-acre public park area here to meet the rec fee requirement. That's also shown on the site plan. And all of this is proposed to eventually connect up to the school system that's to the south. I will be happy to answer any questions you guys may have.
You said a rail stop?
I'm sorry, not rail stop, transit stop.
Oh, sorry.
Yes. Not going to put in a
We'll put a
railroad system.
over there.
Yeah. No railroad systems.
It looks like a great development. Any questions?
Thank you.
Get off easy. Nobody signed up to speak. Is there anybody who wishes to speak? Okay, we'll close the public portion of the hearing. Commissioners,
Motion to approve.
Second.
we have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
The next item is going to be number 7. That'll be our last item, too.
And then the last item, yes, sir. Church Street Landing, First Amendment. This project's being reviewed by Renee Bradley, major development order application submitted by Emerald Coast Associates, requesting approval to reduce the number of residential lots to 17 from 24 previously approved. It's a future land use of neighborhood infill, and because we're changing the density, it's a major development, and that's why we're here. The applicant is here to present his case.
Good evening, Commissioners. Again, for the record, Dean Burgess with Emerald Coast Associates. I have been sworn. Last name's Burgis. I'm the engineer of record and agent to the applicant for this development. As Mac introduced the project, it was originally designed for 24 single-family lots back in 2006, I believe. And basically it went through the downfall in the economy and went back to the bank, was purchased by a new developer who'd like to make the lots a little larger. And so we are trimming the lots down from 24 to 17 and affording larger lots. Interesting aspect of this development is all the infrastructure has already been put in, the roadway's been put in and so forth. We're not altering the configuration of any of that infrastructure other than the water and sewer connections. Be happy to answer any questions the board may have.
Are there any wetlands around there off that creek?
There are wetlands, and you can see from the drawings in your packet and this larger drawing that I have, there's a large area of wetlands pockets that we have designed down initial submittal as well as this one. And they all have the 25-foot buffer around those wetlands.
I think I'm surprised that we don't have more objections here since it was a reduction.
Yeah. So I thought everybody was here to see you tonight, Dean.
You just never know.
Any other questions? Don't see none.
Thank you.
We have nobody who signed up to speak. Is there anybody who wishes to speak on this item? Seeing none, we'll close the public portion of the hearing. Commissioners?
Motion to approve.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries, and we will stand adjourned.
All right. Who would have thought that dam would have taken an hour?
Never said that it was
Probably
No.
All right.
I'll see you on 45 days.